Now, under pressure after the global condemnation for blocking the bid to ban Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar at the UN Security Council, China has now come out in defense of its decision. In a first reaction since it vetoed the UN resolution on Azhar, China has said that it needed more time to conduct a thorough investigation. The US has already issued a stern warning saying that members may be forced to pursue other action to declare Azhar a global terrorist. India, which has been at the receiving end of terrorism, has expressed its disappointment with China's decision. The case has already been vetoed by China on 3 occasions since 2009. Wion's principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, joins me live on the broadcast for more on that story. It's interesting, Siddhant, that China says that it needs more time to pursue this investigation, but the hold that it's been having on blocking Masood Azhar has been going on for the last 10 years.
Well, Aisha, at max, it's a cruel joke. In minimum, if we can think, it's a consistent position of Beijing. We have seen comments on Monday, on Wednesday, Beijing saying that we would like to have more discussions, we would go by the norms. But by and large, what Beijing has done is kind of a betrayal. The sense here in New Delhi is of betrayal because of what happened in 2018, where both the Indian side and the Chinese side consistently made sure that the relationship is back on track after the Doklam crisis in 2017, and the ties are reset between the two large Asian economies and countries. We saw the Indian Prime Minister meeting the Chinese President in Wuhan in April. That famous informal Wuhan summit. This year, the second informal summit will take place in India when the Chinese President comes to India. But by and large, it seems like a betrayal of the Wuhan spirit by the Chinese. And as we have heard the comments from the Chinese Foreign Ministry, first they have said that they need more time to study the entire case. 10 years is a long duration to study any case. Second, of course, they have said on India-China relationship, any impact, the Chinese said that there will not be any impact and they will go by the Wuhan spirit. Certainly, that is not the feeling here in New Delhi.
Right. And if I can also press you, Siddhant, on the US's statement. Now, America has come down pretty hard on China. What does it mean when it says there are other options that members can pursue when it comes to designating the JEM chief as an international terrorist?
Well, there are a number of UN resolutions going away from the 1267 committee. That can be another procedure. I've been speaking to diplomats here and as well as in New York. They, of course, will not divulge the situation, what will be the next step for India. But, of course, they will be working on a different plan after the Chinese betrayal. But one thing is clear from the statement coming from Washington, that when it comes to supporting India on the issue of terror, even though Washington is also dependent on Islam, like Beijing, when it comes to the Afghan peace process, US is clearly clear on the issue of cross-border terror and has been supporting India consistently. And the statement also shows that there are clear division at the international stage. Washington and New Delhi on one side, Beijing and Islamabad on another side, and Beijing will be protecting Islamabad for a pretty long time, primarily because of its connectivity and economic plans in the country. Yes. Connectivity, of course, the focus, because Pakistan, being a client state of Beijing, provides the connectivity towards the West Asian region and, of course, the Indian Ocean region.
Absolutely. Siddhant, I'll request you to stay on with me. We'll talk a little bit more about the outcome of the fact that China has decided not to go through on listing of Azhar. It was pulled on hold by China yet again. But the support for India at the United Nations Security Council was unprecedented. Of the 15 members, 14 were in support of India's campaign against terror. These 14 members supported India's bid to designate the Jaish chief as a global terrorist. Of the 5 permanent members, 4 supported India. So basically, by blocking the proposal, China ended up being the odd one out. And despite the failure to list Masood Azhar, what transpired in the UNSC was a huge diplomatic victory for India. Let me go back to my colleague Siddhant Sibal on that note. Siddhant, it's interesting because it doesn't really look as simple as Beijing standing up to New Delhi and holding its hands or its ties with Islamabad. This was also Beijing going against the will of 14 members of the UNSC, including 4 permanent members.
Well, of course, it also shows that Beijing is willing to isolate itself on the international stage when it comes to backing Pakistan or supporting terrorism. Beijing clearly is being seen on the side of terrorists today, at least here in New Delhi. And when it comes to the UNSC, remember this draft proposal was given to the UNSC in the last week of February by France, UK and US with the backing of Russia, and towards the deadline, which was yesterday 3 p.m. local time. Even Germany was on board when it comes to the entire proposal being given. Last time when India proposed it, last time in 2016, it was India that proposed on the listing of Masood Azhar. This time around there are 4 countries proposing. It shows that there is international consensus that Pakistan is the epicenter of terror in the entire world, and this country is destabilizing the entire region. If you look at the neighborhood, also Afghanistan, Iran, in last few weeks we have seen how Pakistani envoys have been summoned and given demarches on their country's support to terrorism. Today is 1 month since the Pulwama terror attack took place, and just one day before the Pulwama terror attack took place on 13th of February, there was a terror attack in Iran with linkages clearly with Pakistan. So clearly Pakistan is the epicenter of terror. This is not what New Delhi is saying, this is what the world is saying, and China clearly is deaf when it comes to the issue of terrorism emanating from its all-weather ally Pakistan.
Absolutely.